Okay.
The year was probably 1935, 36, and my father and mother were doing mountain mission work in the area called Estelon Valley, which is in Augusta County, Virginia, located between the cities of Stanton and Lexington, Virginia. It was a very poor area. Cars were few, but there were some cars that traveled dirt roads, crossed the little creeks that ran through the area. But back in the mountains, mountainous area, just below one of the, I guess you'd call a hill or a mountain, was the remains of an old iron ore furnace. For years and years before, the mules would bring iron ore across the mountains to this furnace, and they would melt the iron and do whatever was necessary for it. Well, the business finally closed, and most of the people in the area maybe had gardens, or some of them worked in little jobs in little towns, maybe 5 or 10 miles away. Just not much work going on. And back in the wooded area was a family living. No road that I know of would get to them, and I'm not sure how my folks found out about it. But they lived in a shanty with huge cracks in it, and they had a bunch of children. When I say a bunch of children, probably 5, 6, 7 children, and had no idea what the man did. Probably hunted, maybe sold some animals for the pelts, but they were extremely poor. And my parents got acquainted with them. Well, wintertime came, and we had an extremely hard winter. The snow was bad, and one morning my mother said, I have the Sprouses, that was their last name, on my mind, and I'm afraid that I will find them frozen. Now, for some reason, Daddy stayed home with me because Mother was, I guess, felt like this was what the Lord wanted her to do. She said, I'm going to cook them, fix them some food, and I'm going to wrap up my legs and put my galoshes on, and I'm going to walk to their place, which I'm not very good at distances, but a mile or two probably. And she baked biscuits, and I don't know what else she did, because we didn't have an overabundance of food ourselves, although Daddy and Mother did have a cow, and they had milk, and they had chickens, and so they had eggs, and they would usually kill a hog. So we had the basic necessary foods, and while it wasn't fancy, we didn't go hungry. So she had fixed some food, and how she carried it and trudged through that snow, I still am not real sure, but she made it there, and she said she just felt sure that she would find some of them dead from being frozen. But the Lord was with her, brought her safely back, and she was able to take them some food to eat. After this happened, I don't know what happened to the family, don't know what happened to the children, but I know that I can still remember her getting ready and bundling up to go feed those poor people that lived way back in the woods, and she just had to follow the road down not too far before she turned and walked back in the woods to the shanty. And she said, you've heard of a statement saying, well, the crack was large enough to throw a cat through. She said, actually, the cracks in the house where they lived were big enough that you could throw a cat through. So that I have never ever forgotten. I was probably anywhere from 9 to 10 years old when this was going on, and it made such an impression on me. And I wish I could remember more of the details, but the fact that she wrapped her legs up, didn't have pants, of course, to wear, but she wrapped her legs up, put on her galoshes, her heavy coat, and tied her something around her head, and with a little bag or a bigger bag, whatever it took to carry the biscuits and a little bit of food, she took to that family to keep them from starving to death during the snowstorm. And that is one of my memories I have of some of their giving and some of their sacrifices while they were in mountain mission work in this little area called Esteline Valley, which is in, as I said, Augusta County, across from what was known as Fordwick and Craigsville, Virginia.